There's transactional leaders and there's transformational leaders. I want to be a transformational leader. Transactional is you just agree with somebody, I'm going to do your work, I'm going to support you. I could go be a pastor, I could go be another kind of administrator, but if I can duplicate myself and others by sharing my vision and living for Christ in a way that they're inspired, they go forth. So I'm proud to see young leaders around me growing, developing, and taking over. I can walk away and this union is going to keep working fine because there's so many leaders that are being developed. Not that I'm doing it, God's doing it, but I hope I'm a part of that. So I'm very proud of that. I've watched women lead and do tremendous things for God. So I think, I can say, is it proud? There's a sense of just a sense of what I felt and still feel following the Lord's leadership in a very sensitive but important matter, and that is supporting women in their call from God and supporting that and seeing that play out in so many different ways. That's extremely important to me and something I feel that hopefully I made some contribution there. And I think then to focus on evangelism. I am an evangelist. I was a pastor evangelist. I went into full-time evangelism in the conferences, and that means I'm out proclaiming the word, proclaiming the word, preaching the word, sharing the word. And so I'm proud of the fact that we've encouraged people to experience the mission, be about the mission, and then doing that, it is doing evangelism, knowing Christ and sharing Christ. Probably one of the most critical memories is July 29, 2012, when we had a very, very highly charged special session to deal with women's ordination. That's probably one of the takeaway memories that is huge in my mind because it was such a controversial thing to do. And yet we felt compelled by God to lead in that. And then we brought it to the constituents. They voted 80% to 20% to move ahead and to recognize women in their call and ordain them. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways. I would pastor first in Florida in the Southern Union and work there, and then go to Mid-America to be an evangelist in the Mid-America area, and then back to Florida evangelism, and spent a good portion of my time in early administration in the Washington Conference. And then Potomac Conference, and spanning 27 years as a conference president, or union president. And Pennsylvania, I think the Columbia Union, being that Pennsylvania is in the Columbia Union, it's an interesting thing to feel like you're back home. And I've really enjoyed that more than I realize. What to me probably was special about coming to the Columbia Union 18 years ago to be the president is realizing how much the Columbia Union was so much on the cutting edge on so many issues. And I think we've continued that. Not that I've tried to do that, it's just the way things have developed as things came to us. And we felt God leading in that direction. And I'm really proud of this union standing up for, a number of things. Of course, women in ministry is probably one of the more significant things, but there's other things we've stood up for. I think we've been good about recognizing minorities. I think our health system, especially Terry Ford, what he did with the Lucy Byard situation, recognizing a huge issue in the church years ago with the racial divide and recognizing the contribution that that whole conversation brought to the church, and how we tried to set a pace to saying, let's work together, let's be together. I think we're on the cusp of the greatest days of evangelism. We are right on the cusp. Last year we had the greatest number of baptisms in the Columbia Union. This past year we just closed out, 23. And we're in a trend. I see it happening in a marked manner. There is such a thirst out in the world. We've been through a pandemic. We have weather that's crazy. We have a nation and world that seems really almost on the edge of something. There's a lot going on. People are wondering, and I think here we are, Seventh-day Adventists with a great message. You go back to the stories in the Bible of examples where, the disciples or someone knew because God had communicated through the word or through some kind of vision or something, what's coming. God has given to this church that very fact, what's coming. So I think we're living on the cusp of the greatest evangelism. I think we see young adults are going to get more engaged. We see many groups getting engaged, pastors, laity working together, collaborating together. That's what I think is in the future, and I think that's very close, and I think the Lord is coming very soon.